Well, hello, that's me again. Today is May 20th. It is Saturday, and this is something for the weekend for you guys, which really worth discussing. And we'll start with the news, which pretty much was coming. We knew it. So even Reuters reports that, yeah, Russia, Wagner claims that, Bakhmut, Artyomovsk fell, and you know what? It's now such a soap opera in Western media because obviously Mr. Konashenkov, the spokesperson of Russian Defense Ministry, underscored when reporting on the fall of Bakhmut, which was coming. We knew it was coming. He stated one of the tactical directions, which is indeed in the larger scheme of things. It's important and psychologically because so much media attention has been attached to this. But yeah, it was inevitable. At Bakhmut, Artyomovsk, so to speak, was used as the indeed meat grinder. Mr. Prigozhin, of course, is making a lot of PR about this, and he is again attacking Russian Defense Ministry, which is probably gonna cost him, if not already. But the point is, yeah, well, we knew it. So how many KIAs and other losses have been incurred on the armed forces of Ukraine? Different estimates. Some say 15,000, others say that altogether killed and wounded and around 100,000. I don't know the truth in terms of numbers, somewhere in the middle, and Russian Defense Ministry will have some time to count that and have more or less reliable numbers. We know it's a lot, many thousands. So, and there you go. As was expected, this PR defense by armed forces of Ukraine have been completely, basically broken, and yeah, Bakhmut now is under total control of Russian troops. But this is again against the background of the overall picture of special military operation, and especially against its main strategic aims, which are, of course, demilitarization and denazification of the whole of Ukraine and rolling back NATO. It's it's important, but nothing more than a footnote, really. So, and we will have to continue with actually reaction of the NATO countries, from United States to Great Britain to France or what have you, regarding the basically consequences. And consequences of what we knew already happened with the Patriot, and obviously those risible, almost kindergarten level attempts to lie and cover it up. I mean, like it was slightly damaged and then it was already repaired. Well, no photos, of course, have been presented. It's all about PR, as it is primarily most of the American military-industrial complex. And we'll talk about this a little bit. And again, as I already stated, I will explain it in a little bit more funnier way. But let's start with this. Mr. Ben Wallace, I really, one of the things which I learned recently, which was actually quite astonishing for me, because I thought that there are still a lot of professionals, at least on the top level. I'm beginning to understand that, for example, in Anglo-American access, all those top-notch, defense ministers or Secretary of Defense and all those admirals and generals who sit there on the very top, they are really not that competent people, militarily and politically. And here it is. Here's the guy of the country whose army actually can fit into the new Wembley Stadium. It could fit in the old Wembley too, and with some space to spare. And here it is. Defense Secretary Ben Wallace has warned that UK could enter a direct conflict with Russia and China in the next 7 years, and has called for an increase in military spending to counter the potential threat. Remarkably, as you can see yourself, and as it underlined in red, however, while Wallace has been pushing for more military spending and more military support for Ukraine, he has also been calling for a significant reduction in the size of Britain's own army. Last week, the Times reported that the Defense Secretary intends to proceed with plans to cut down the number of infantry personnel from 82,000 to just over 70,000, and the number of tanks from 227 to 148. In other words, words, if you remove what's left of the Royal Navy, especially Trafalgar-class strategic missile submarines, economically and militarily, United Kingdom is not even second rate. It's about third rate. It's gonna be the military of the third world country, and no matter how they try to present everything in some kind of, presentable way, if you wish, there is no denial of the fact that, well, I use this term and I will repeat it again, it's a pipsqueak, militarily and economically. The only thing which they left out, yeah, they make those wonderful Rolls-Royce engines. There are some other, here and there, a few pieces of shipbuilding which are left in the United Kingdom, but primarily it's a toast. I mean, it's a goner. And I don't know why Mr. Ben Wallace, whatever he slept in the Sandhurst, but the guy obviously is completely, out of his league, out of his depth, and he continues to, articulate the absolutely ridiculous points of view. He wants to direct conflict with Russia. I mean, I don't even know how to say this, unless Britain wants to completely fool, all stones on the islands to being rearranged. I don't know what the guy is thinking. So obviously he probably keeps in mind that United States will get into this conflict, and United Kingdom, as the dedicated and loyal jackal, will be running circles around the United States. But what can I say? It's really kind of funny to even think about it, and this is what is one has to conclude just reading that types of statements. There is no logical explanation to them. There is absolutely a loss and complete loss of any attachment or contact with the reality. But here we are. Here's this guy, they call themselves Great Britain. I don't know. It's a small country, island country with basically zero real impact. And those people who begin to tell me about something that, but they have the Bank of London. No, so what? I mean, nobody needs their pound sterlings, and the dollarization proceeds apace. And that brings us to other thing. This is a very interesting situation because it's also how funny it coincided with the fact of the annihilation of yet another American Wunderwaffe, which was, of course, Patriot Pack 3 in Ukraine. And more of them will be annihilated. It doesn't matter how many they will provide. Look at this. Suddenly we get into it's Department of State, and they produce on May 18th, no less, their whole strategy. Again, they cannot do strategy. There's no such thing in the Western world anymore as strategy, because they do not understand what strategy is and what is involved. But here it is. They call it kind of strategy, It's called retooling foreign military sales for an age of strategic competition. So May 18th, and here it is. On average, allies partners purchase approximately $45 billion annually in U.S. arms, equipment, and training via foreign military sales. From 2021-2022, implemented FMS purchases grew by 49%. But amid shifting global security conditions, from Russia's war in Ukraine, to managing competition in the Indo-Pacific, as well as industrial capacity challenges and global supply chain disruptions, the time has come to reassess and adapt security operations to meet new and emerging challenges. I know it's verbose statement which tells you absolutely nothing if you are just actual layman and you have no idea what you will not have any idea what they are talking about. But let me explain what they are talking about, and this is extremely important. Look at this. They have this 10, new approach, strategic planning, blah, 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 blah. And here it is. Point 2, prioritizing cases for foreign military sales based on national security strategy goals. Where possible, we can prioritize and provide expedited planning assistance to partners identified as priorities in the national security strategy, national defense strategy, and DoD's regional combatant command theater campaign plans. Number 3, promoting proactive, forward-looking uses of the Special Defense Acquisition Fund, which allows the rapid delivery of selected defense articles and services in advance of normal procurement lead time by identifying key capabilities in demand by multiple partners. We can reduce long lead times, articles by months or even years, and accelerate delivery timelines. Now they talk about improving security cooperation, officers training, and blah 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 blah. And when one reads this, I say, what the hell are they talking about? Well, here it is, I have to give Russia Today or RT actually the credit where the credit is due, because they actually succinctly summarize this thing. And here it is. Basically, they say U.S. to accelerate weapons sales. According to a Wall Street Journal report, which I just presented to you, on Thursday, the new program comes as the State Department scrambles for rectified delays in sales to foreign militaries caused by a risk-averse and sluggish system. These issues have resulted in fears that some of America's partners could start shopping for arms from some of America's adversaries, such as Russia and China, the Wall Street Journal wrote, citing unnamed U.S. officials. U.S. officials are really cowardly guys. I mean, they never go out and state anything clearly. And as you saw yourself in this verbose page and a half or 2 pages of this military sales strategy, so to speak, it is very clear. And these are all consequences of the being trial by fire or empirical trial of the American weapons, which starting from the start of special military operations failed time after time after time as the effective combat systems. And you remember it all started with the holy javelins, then it started with the holy M777, then it started with the holy whatever armored vehicles. Then of course we already know what it ended up with. It is 3 days ago, annihilation of the Patriot PAC-3, and as I already stated, it doesn't matter what they will do, no matter what they will put in there. I wrote 3 books about, and I write about for 9 years non-stop. United States and NATO, they do not have weapon systems which can affect modern battlefield, and it ranges not just from some pieces of metal such as the aircraft or tanks. It also talks about the net-centric command and control of the whole battlefield. It is obviously the ones it's met with the appropriate ISR, intelligence, surveillance, and reconnaissance. And let me remind you, Russia has a very good satellite constellation there. You cannot explain this to those people. They are stuck in 90s. And let's see what is this all about, what the consequences of this are. Here it is. Remember this? This was 1999. How one Serbian commander proved stealth is not invincibility. And you know what? They talk about how they spent, planning those B-2, F-35, and F-22 pilots, how to fly their missions against their, let's put it this way, their air defense before American Civil War capability. But the point is, already then in 1999, against this old background, and you know what, it's hype and overselling, overstating, and just self-congratulatory, pardon me, BS about the stealth capabilities. You remember this was the F-117 downed by the Serbian air defense, and it was one of those technological shocks like, wow, they can see us. Of course they can see you. Of course, people have been overselling this stealth thing, especially when we talk about Raccourci, so to speak, the angular radar cross section, how it is distributed, where there are some aspects where you can see it less than you would otherwise will see, but it doesn't matter. Modern computing power, modern advanced array designs, and modern radar, and especially sensor fusion just make this stealth pretty much, marginal improvement. And that means it makes no difference if you fly F-35, for example, in the conflict such as special military operation against the Air Force and the air defense such as Russian. You will be detected, tracked and shut down, no matter how you try. And this brings us to this other thing, which is, of course, shows how desperate they are with the situation in Ukraine. And we will start with this. The news of this is the fact that U.S. to allow allied transfers of F-16s to Ukraine. Media report of it. Of course, what kind of media? Oh, same old, same old. Washington Post, CNN, NBC, and what have you. And here it is. This is what they report today. The U.S. government will not block allied countries from sending F-16 fighter jets to Ukraine. Multiple news outlets reported on Friday, citing American officials. Of course they will not. United States cannot send its own fighters because, as I am on the record, no matter what you send there, it will be shut down and will have practically zero effect on the outcome. And so we can go back to Yahoo News, and you know what, and yesterday they report again that the US has once buckled under pressure from European allies and Ukraine's leaders and agreed to provide more sophisticated weapons to the war effort. This time it's all about F-16 fighters. Fighter jets. So let me put it this way. Once you hear the term, which is underlined here in red and highlighted in yellow, more sophisticated, you can discount whatever is being conveyed to you, as well as the person who uses the terminology, as amateurs and the guys who have no clue. Sophistication means absolutely nothing if it's not effective. And here is the problem. F-16, it's one of the sexiest, if not the sexiest fighter ever created. It's a beautiful machine, and it is very good at bombing, for example, something like Iraqis, or bombing somebody in Afghanistan. And of course, the whole thing about F-16 is the fact that, as they say, that look at this, while they're still trying to make decisions how many and who will supply F-16s, and it will be made in months ahead. So and they talk about that the F-16 Falcons have much more advanced radar sensors and missile capabilities. They were talking about two unnamed Ukrainian pilots, which I doubt it, but whatever they say, they lie non-stop. Western media is basically the euphemism for lying. But the point is, the only advanced feature, which is for the latest Block 60 or whatever, 80, I'm lost count of those F-16s, is the AN/APG-80 radar with the range of about 160 kilometers. But the only weapon which has any meaning in the modern air combat, and I spoke about it, and while Mr. Kelly, the senator and astronaut, says Russians cannot fly in formations, Russian score on the beyond visual range today is such that U.S. Air Force just salivating on this because they never have been able to accomplish anything like this. And of course, when you talk about F-16, the main thing about F-16 is this. It is it's AIM-120 AMRAAM. It is also the piece of equipment which is used in the NASAM, by the way, air defense systems, which get completely decimated by Russians. But look at this. Raytheon itself talks about the latest issue or upgrade of AIM-120 AMRAAM, which F-16 carry, as the new weapon's maximum range is 50% longer than the standard version, and its maximum altitude is 70% higher, thanks to enhancements like an enlarged rocket motor built by Norwegian company. So this is about this AMRAAM ER extended range, and the extended range, well, everybody knows this. They say it's classified, but everybody knows it's about 150 kilometers. It's a long-range missile, but the point is then when you begin to look at the what those F-16 will not be able to do, and the Russians actually already reporting for several days they shoot down Storm Shadows, they shoot down HARMs, like in a very good industrial quantities, and HARM is the high-speed anti-radiation missile. So AIM-120 is the air-to-air missile designed to shoot down planes. The problem is, of course, is this little thingy together with the other little things on Russia, and it is called, it's already have been reported, by the way, by the cadre Russian officer about the R-37 air-to-air missile, and already then in 2018 it was already clearly stated the range exceeding 300 kilometers, and he is talking about the MRAM latest versions having the maximum range of over 180 kilometers, and he properly notes that compared to its predecessors, the R-37M boasts an incredible range. It outranges the AIM-120 more than by 2 times, and obviously to prove this, even this London Politics, it's called London Politic, the risk assessment company and risk assessment consulting firm, tells you about this. In late October 2022, they mean a Ukrainian Sukhoi 27 flanker Soviet aerofighter was shot down by a long-range air-to-air missile. Well, they call it LRAM, in reality just R-37M. This is not the first Ukrainian aircraft to be shot down since Russia's invasion commenced in February, but it is nevertheless a significant feat for the Russian Air Force because R-37 took down Ukrainian Sukhoi 27 from a range of 217 kilometers. This would make it the kill the longest on record. And unlike AIM-120, the R-37 is genuine hypersonic missiles with Mach 6 speed and striking targets up to 400 kilometers. Okay, so sure, let those F-16 be delivered there, but there is, of course, this little teeny-weeny nuance, so to speak, in how United States wants to do it. It wants to grab whatever is left in Netherlands, because Netherlands have been their hands twisted with, you know, basically selling, quote-unquote, F-35 to them. And so whatever the F-16s they have left, they probably will, you know, deliver to Ukraine. And how long they will be there? I don't know. Not long. They will be shut down. And again, no American pilot, no American Air Force general, nobody, let alone those British or French, they have zero experience fighting in the modern battlefield. Like zero. In fact, is in some sense it is negative, because bombing with impunity pretty much the ancient air defenses of Iraq, let alone bombing the vetting parties in Afghanistan, is not really a serious fight. And this is the issue. And then comes, of course, this damn Russian air defense, which shoots things in industrial quantities every day. And remember Holy Heimers? Remember how it was supposed to change the whole outcome? Well, it's just another missile Russians shoot in industrial quantities. They intercept sometimes 7, 8 a day, so, and they don't break through, and they do not intercept them by S-400 or S-300V4, which is astounding complex, or let alone S-500, which is primarily deployed around Moscow. They take it down by using Tor M3, M2, and Panzer S1 with those advanced capabilities. And these are basically tactical level air defense. And when you look at this, so good luck. What's next? Do they want to send Abrams? Let them send Abrams. They will see what's going to happen. They will burn as well as any other tank. And and this is why United States in such a desperate situation, not only geopolitically, we already understand that geopolitically, the myth like the shooting down of F-117 by Serbian air defense, this one is on the industrial scale, which is basically one sequential, one after another dispelling of the myth of American superior quote-unquote military technology, let alone doctrinal and fighting doctrine development. America's or NATO fighting doctrine is not suited for the modern war. It is basically and primarily built around some kind of the force structures of 1990s, and based on the assumption, wrong, always wrong assumption, that somehow the combined West, and especially by United States, has advantage on some fundamental sectors of the military-industrial production. It does not. And the only thing which United States had at some point of time in radio electronics, which it was had a significant lead, starting especially in 60s, 70s, and 80s. After that, people really lost contact with the reality. They do not understand that modern computing power and modern chips, which you don't have to have those, advanced, very little, or how to say it, very low topology or whatever, 5 nanometers, whatever, they are not needed in military. The whole thing and signal processing and development of the commanding decisions and basically firing solutions and things of this nature, the same as the exchange of the informations within the nets or networks, if you wish. It's all done by middle-of-the-road processors, and it's done extremely well. And in this respect, you can see now that how communications and how the network, and especially with its very flexible topology, how net centricity is used by Russia to an astounding effect. And as I already stated, modern Russian aircraft or modern Russian air defense system or complex can receive targeting from multiple sources. It can data fuse them or sensor fuse them and develop firing solution. And that is why, basically the slaughter of the Ukrainian Air Force, if F-16s will be delivered, it will be the same result as with the PAC-3 Patriot or NASAMS or what have you. They all will be shut down. And that will be another huge slap in the face of the primarily American mythology, military mythology, and American fighting doctrine, which I already stated is stuck in 1990s and it's not moving anywhere. Because from what I observed for the last several months astonished me. Those people who constantly go out and speak as experts on any kind of the Western media, be that British, like Ben Wallace. I mean, I don't know. The guy evidently has zero military background. He doesn't understand what he is talking about. But be that from Pentagon and those generals and all those people of this nature, they are completely in their bubble and they are incapable to do what most advanced militaries do and how they win wars. They adapt. And that is why now when I hear the word sophisticated or I hear the term strategy from any source in the West, I cringe. They have no clue what they are talking about. They simply don't teach it. And that's the kind of serious issue which will need to be discussed separately. So, and that's basically what I wanted to tell you about today. And this is without overloading you with mathematics. This is without overloading you with the operations theory, theory of operational research. This is without going into the neck of the woods of the physics of the things and this beaten to death like vomit inducing the absolutely fanboys propaganda about, oh yeah, they don't have AISA, active electronically scanned arrays. They have only PISA, passive electronically scanned arrays. Well, it will take about 2 hours and a lot of math and radar theory to explain that not everything seems as it seems because there are all kinds of differences between different kinds of radar. Not to speak that number of Russian planes, including Su-57, they do have AISA. But again, it's all for the fanboys, it's all for the bunch of losers who monetize their verbose crap, which they sell to all those people who graduated the School of the Modern Warfare Studies called the Top Gun Maverick. So, but this is basically where we are today. And Mr. Zelensky will be begging at G7 something else from those guys. But as Mr. Lavrov today stated, Minister of the Foreign Affairs of Russian Federation, the Western vector of Russian foreign policy exhausted itself. It is done and over. So, and this is what I wanted to tell you today. And guys, as always, those who like what I do, please subscribe to my channel. I also want to express my profound gratitude to my patrons and people who buy me coffee or two. And guys, believe me, I know you. I know who you are, and I appreciate it. It's just that I'm just alone. I don't have any production crew or anything. I'm just the guy sitting in my, house and doing my broadcast or podcast, whatever it's called. And I cannot respond to everybody, but I want to tell you that I know who you are, and I profoundly appreciate your help. So, and guys who can afford, please support me on Patreon and buy me a coffee too. And this is what is this all about today. And have a nice weekend, guys. I'll talk to you later. Bye bye.